Brightburn, because you mentioned you don't want a rated R Superman, right? So what they did with like Joker in a separate universe, its own thing, it's its own thing, has no connection to anything else going on, right? It's its own thing. You have Brightburn, that you get that glimpse of what Superman would kind of be if he was bad, right? Um, there's other the things they could do with alternate. I won't say alternate universe, but like other worlds or stuff like that, where you could make those characters not attached to what's going on, like completely different characters, different story, make it rated R. It's its own thing, and I think that sells.
So now, real quick, for those of you who don't know who are watching, Brightburn is basically Earth 3 Superman, or version of it's supposed to be Superman, where he comes to Earth. They find him out in it's not exactly Kansas, but find him out somewhere. But he's adopted by a different family than the Kent family, and he grows up to be. He's obviously not named Clark Kent, but he grows up to be, well, I mean, even actually in his adolescence, he's basically evil. He realizes he has so much more power, and he's, getting tired of being picked on and everything. And he realizes that, hey, I'm hiding my power for what? I can rule these humans. And he leans into that, and he is the dark version of Superman. But Brightburn is really, really good. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, because it is.
It's like a horror flick almost.
It's pretty gruesome, right? Especially since he is a kid, and when I say kid, he's like 9, 10 years old, well, maybe 11 years old, but he's pretty young. And to see his powers and everything, but it's awesome. And the thing is that I think they spent like $6 million on that movie, and it made more than 5 or 6, 7 times that. Granted, that's not a lot in the way of, you think we just talked about Joker being $1 billion, but you only spent $6 million.
The return is good.
Yeah,
the return is good. Yeah. It's the little stepping stones, I think. Kind of brings, like I said, brings the next point. You have these not mainstream movies. I don't know if you've seen Kick-Ass or Kick-Ass 2. It's not based off. I don't think it's based off a particular comic book, but it is comic booky, right? It's a comedy / action superhero movie. You have what was the one with Natalie Portman back in the day? It's actually pretty good. V for Vendetta. I think that was based off a comic book, loosely based off a comic book.
Graphic novel, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, maybe a graphic novel.
I think, let us know down in the comments, but I think it was a graphic novel.
Yeah, and Watchmen was recent as well, and they made a series, but there was a Watchmen movie that was rated R. And one of my favorite movies, and I guess it kind of is not necessarily. I don't consider it mainstream just because it's not technically part of any DCEU or anything. It was its own little movie, Constantine with Keanu Reeves, which is a great movie. If you've not seen that movie, it's pretty good. I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. So there are avenues for that. Like, I think I would like to see. I think we discussed this before. Like, I'd love to see a rated R Ghost Rider movie. I think that'd be fucking awesome.
See, but he's another one that, I mean, everything he deals with is in flames and everything else, right? So how do you not make it rated R? And that's kind of goes back to, I think you destroy a character like Captain America or Superman, putting them in a rated R movie, because they're the beacons of light. But I also think you kind of ruin a Ghost Rider or a Blade or something, putting them in a PG-13 movie, right? Because now you got to make it look cheesy. Like, oh, he just lit this guy on fire. Like that's Ghost Rider, right? He's taking him to hell.
Yeah, you're taking those characters out of their wheelhouse, right? It would be, it would be like Blade,
R, right?
Killing, huh?
Spawn wasn't rated R, right?
I think it was, actually. Let me look.
It seems so fucking.
No, it's PG-13.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's PG-13.
So cheesy for you're dealing with the devil or Malboja, whatever, he's down there, who Spawn is. And again, he's a very violent character, and so it was really cheesy, hence the John Leguizamo, and things like that, with that kind of a, I don't know if you want to, he's, I guess, kind of a villain, but he's kind of just the assistant to the villain. Not the assistant villain, the assistant to the villain.
Yes, the assistant to the villain. Like, that movie, I don't know. I love John Leguizamo in that fucking movie. He's so fucking funny.
Peekaboo. I see you.
Um, you know, I just think it was very poorly. He did great with that character. I just think the rest of the movie was just god awful. It was to today's standards. I guess I should say.
It
it's
was
a
difficult to make something like that back in that time, right, and make it
yeah,
good. Um,
yeah. And
don't get
maybe
me
they
wrong,
were
the
flirting with
writing still
maybe they were flirting with the fact that they didn't want to make it rated R, and that's what screwed the movie. I don't know. Who knows? I just feel like that character, like Ghost Rider, leans into being ruthless, bloody. He's got fucking the chains that cut people's heads off. Like, I mean, it's something that it's pretty gruesome stuff. It'd be trying to make like Hellraiser PG-13. It's just it don't make any sense. Like, no, it's supposed to be gruesome. It's supposed to make you like squeamish and like nauseous when you watch
it's
it,
called
right?
Heck Razor. They just try to
Yeah,
raise the hell
crazy.
out of
Yeah,
it, just make it
yeah, yeah,
real cheap and just fuck it up.
yeah. And there's I think um, Judge Dredd is another one. I think was comic book as well as I never watched the movie. I know a lot of my friends, or say friends, coworkers, they like the movie The Crow. I've never actually seen The Crow, um, which I'm pretty sure, again, maybe based off a graphic novel. Let us know. But I've been told to watch that movie several times. I've just never got around to watching it. So,
For those of you that Mantis does work with, I apologize. He just called none of you friends. So actually, I don't apologize. He should
I
apologize.
mean,
I don't know what I'm apologizing to you for.
some of them are friends, but most of them are coworkers,
Acquaintances. Um,
acquaintances.
but
Yeah,
I hope in this realm of I love this where we're at with movies where we can start bringing some of these characters rated R. I just again they're kind of screwing everything else up. So what I just don't want them to do is like where DC was going and making everything dark, right? Like yes, most of the DC world is dark, but you have to have your beacons of light, like your Superman, right? Same thing
yeah,
with Marvel. Captain America is your beacon of light. You have these characters that are the
yeah,
pillars of morality and ethics in those worlds, and you need to
yeah.
maintain that, right? That's that thing people look up to and kids aspire to. But then it is nice to see some of these other, because even when you get into more of like Beyonder and such, we've done multiple videos on talking about Secret Wars in the comics was the Beyonder. They're
Hmm.
very brutal race, right? Like, so that's going to have to be something more leaned into the rated R realm. And then you have a battle world. I want to see that in kind of based in a rated R realm, not necessarily.
Yeah, well, you're right. Like making sense of Superman being, he's the truth, just American way, right? Like, yeah, I think in the overall, if you're looking at it from bird's eye view or over an overhead view, contrast is what makes things interesting, right? You want peaks and valleys. You want characters that are unapologetically good and unapologetically bad, right? You want that contrast because it's what makes things interesting. So if everyone was good or everyone was bad
It's
or everything was
boring.
light, everything was dark, it's boring. Yeah, who cares? Like,
Yeah, but in
yeah,
my head, I'm imagining Avengers: Age of Ultron when Tony Stark he tries to fire a missile at the compound and it's shielded, and he's like, "Shit!" And Captain America's like, "Language," and that's referenced multiple
right,
times to make fun of.
exactly,
What is he gonna do with Deadpool?
right, yeah,
Deadpool
yeah,
hacks off
I
somebody,
know.
shoots somebody in the head, like at the end of Deadpool 1 when he shoots the guy in the head and Colossus throws up and he's like, he was droning on. Like how's that gonna go
Yeah,
over?
The way we. Why? You were droning on.
With
I
Captain America.
I don't think they would mesh too well. Let's just put it that way.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you got to know your
Yeah.
bounds, right? If you're going to do something rated R and you're going to have Deadpool in there, maybe you aren't going to have Captain America in there. Like those two aren't
Or
going to.
if you do, you have to make it so obvious that you're making fun of it, right? That you're pointing it out that it becomes a running joke in the film. That's the only way you can do it.
And the thing is with Deadpool is the type of character, because since he breaks the fourth wall all the time, he would be the
Yeah.
one pointing it out, right?
Yeah.
He would be the one
Exactly.
calling it
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
Exactly.
there's that part of me that wants to see how that would go, but then I'm like, how are they gonna, how are they gonna pull that off? Same thing with like, you almost want to see a rated R Batman, but then you don't, because again, obviously in the Batman v Superman, he's playing closer to the Frank Miller Batman that's been Batman for 20
Mhm.
years, and he is darker, so he kills when needed. But you don't necessarily just want that to be his opening move. Um, Kind of like Arrow
Yeah.
says in the first season, he goes, "Killing's not my opening move." Well, it kind of was back in the first season.
Yeah.
Those
He kind
security
of did
guards
that
aren't
quite
laying.
often.
They aren't laying there still with an arrow in the center of their chest for nothing.
Or sleeping.
Right. Sleeping. I shoot them with these arrows and they go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, now if they leaned into that, if they make a Green Arrow movie, and from my understanding, there is, and we may be getting a glimpse of the Arrow movie that is to come here. I've heard rumors that we may get some spoilers on an Arrow movie coming up. I wonder if they
Okay.
would go the route of what the show did in season 1, where they make him darker, and you could do that
Mhm.
rated R, right? Because he could be,
Yeah.
again. You have a guy that fires a bow and arrow, and I don't understand it for the life of me. But like in the show, he shoots, even when he shoots somebody in the shoulder when he's not killing them, they just kind of pass out. I don't know if it's from the pain, but where's the guy
I know.
intensely screaming as this fucking arrow pierced through his entire
I
body?
don't. I know. They'd all be writhing in pain on the ground, screaming. Like he'd just be walking through, and they're oh my god.
Right?
I mean,
But you never see that. They just again, they just go to sleep. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right, guys. Well, we're trying to keep, with these types of videos, we definitely want to keep it a little bit shorter to bring you some content that's not an hour and a half long. So let us know down in the comments what your thoughts are, and what's your favorite character that you love to see brought into a rated R movie, assuming it's done well. And as
Mm.
always, even though it doesn't seem to be helping us out much, we always save it to the end instead of the beginning of the video. If you've made it this far with us and you're returning for this video, we do appreciate it. If you like this topic, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, because we've got a lot more coming up here in the near future, as well as some different projects that will be interesting that I think you guys are going to love. So, and then let us know down in the comments what you thought about the video, or again, what you would like to see come out as a rated R superhero movie. Mantis, final thoughts?
I'm good. I'm good. I hopefully, like I said, I like what they've done in the recent years. I just hope they kind of keep going that direction when it's appropriate.
Well, I feel like a lot of the rated, real quick, last final thought on this, like a lot of the rated R movies they've been doing have worked, right? They're going in a good direction. They may not be with some of the other movies, but those they're doing pretty well on. So,
Yeah.
yep, excited to see what's coming up, guys. So, Mantis, unless you have anything else, that's going to be it for us, guys. We thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Later.